Caitlin also pressed Senator Tuberville about his difficulty condemning white nationalism, which has been a months-long issue for the senator. Today, Senator Tuberville tried to clean up his messy interview with Caitlin. Take a listen.
I'm totally against racism. And if the Democrats want to say that white nationalists are racist, I'm totally against that too.
But that's not a Democratic definition. The definition of a white nationalist
well,
is
that's your definition. My definition is racism bad.
The definition is that the belief that the white race is superior to all other races.
Totally out of the question.
So do you believe that white nationalists are racist?
Yes, if that's what a racist is, yes.
Oh, thank the Lord that Tommy Tuberville has finally relented and said that white nationalists are racist. Now, ignore the fact that what Tommy Tuberville was talking about at the very beginning of this, and still has the entire time spoken directly to me and others about, is that he was talking about how the term is used as a blanket statement to target people who support Donald Trump and Republicans. And it is. We've seen it. This entire scandal, whatever this is, proves that. But even though he relented and he said the magic words that they so needed to hear, it doesn't mean that they're done. No. You've already heard a little piece of this, but I will give you more of it. It's just not enough, my friends. We need more because poor Tommy Tuberville just doesn't get it. So the beatings have to continue until Tommy Tuberville gives them exactly what they want, which is for him to stop blocking military promotions. That's what this is really about. The rekindling of the he doesn't think white supremacists are racist nonsense, which he never said and repeatedly said they are racist. Racists are bad. Racists are bad. Racists are bad. Racists are bad. Well, that's not enough. Never going to be enough. Remember that. Remember that. They only forget if a Democrat's involved. Here's Jake Tapper, some other idiots that work for CNN.
Caitlin also pressed Senator Tuberville about his difficulty condemning white nationalism, which has been a months-long issue for the senator. Today, Senator Tuberville tried to clean up his messy interview with Caitlin. Take a listen.
I'm totally against racism. And if the Democrats want to say that white nationalists are racist, I'm totally against that too.
But that's not a Democratic definition. The definition of a white nationalist
well, that's
is
your definition. My definition is racism bad.
The definition is that the belief that the white race is superior to all other races.
Totally out of the question.
So do you believe that white nationalists are racist?
Yes, if that's what a racist is, yes.
It's actually really funny. Next question. And they don't care. They're looking for like some sort of magic words. And he said, yes, fine, whatever. They're racist. And I love the dismissiveness of it. It's hilarious because it is clear that he knows they're just playing a game. So fine, I'll play the stupid game. I love it. I love it. But that's not enough for Jake Tapper. No. He's making a frowny face right now. That's his serious face. Let's continue.
Okay, boy, so that didn't clear up anything. And just for those who are out there wondering, white nationalism is racism. It is the belief that whites are superior to other races. That's what it means. That's
That's actually white supremacy. But this is, again, part of the problem. They find the definitions incorrectly and just say, okay, we're going to go after you. White nationalism, folks, is in fact racist. Okay, let's make sure we understand that. But it is the idea that you love your country more than anything else, and your race plays a role in that. That's what it actually is. He's talking about white supremacy. There are black nationalists in this country, and they do not get this kind of treatment on CNN. Just remember that. Put it in your pocket. We'll probably discuss it later. Not today, but in the future. Jake Tapper, still frowny face, very upset, very perplexed, which is what you want from one of your lead guys, which is maybe why their network sucks. But this idea that he's constantly confused is pretty amusing.
definition. That's not a Democratic definition. That's the definition. But after that, Senator Tuberville finally told our Manu Raju off camera that white supremacists are racist. Now, Nia-Malika, this is...
You do see that he's confusing white nationalists with white supremacists. You get this, right? This is part of the problem. This is part of the problem. They're all talking past each other, and these guys don't care. They just want to hear the words they demand so they can claim victory. Okay, have they claimed victory now? Let's see.
A 68-year-old white man who's lived almost his entire life in the South. Do you find it credible that he actually is having difficulty with the definition of this, or is there something perhaps more nefarious going on?
Listen, when I saw this interview last night with Caitlin Collins, it really reminded me of something Donald Trump did when he sort of feigned ignorance around the Proud Boys, feigned ignorance around David Duke. Supposedly he didn't have an idea who David Duke was or what he stood for. This is when he was running for president. So what I think Tommy Tuberville is up to is sort of trying to mainstream white nationalist ideology, mainstream the term white nationalism. So in that interview, it's sort of confused.
Like it's a plot. These people are insane. They are conspiracy theorists. He's trying to mainstream white nationalism. Any evidence of this? Holy cow.
Because on the one hand, he says, listen, racism is bad. White nationalism, if you want to call it that, that's not great. But I think that's what he's up to. And listen, this is part of a long tradition, I think, particularly among white Southerners of a certain age, of sort of downplaying racism in the South, downplaying racism in America, downplaying a racist themselves. And so there he is. At some point, he seems to suggest that white nationalists are just sort of ordinary white Americans who love their country.
You idiot. What he said multiple times is that you're using the term white nationalist just to smear random people, which is what you're doing right now. That has been his entire point. Why do they not see this? Could somebody please get on the shows with Dylan Mulvaney and these other two and have a conversation that actually requires you to answer a question when you say dumb stuff like Tommy Tuberville is racist? You got a guy frowning, a woman doing a Dylan Mulvaney impression, and then this insane stuff by Nia something or other. What is this? She called him a racist. That makes no sense. There's no evidence Tommy Tuberville has ever been racist. They're disagreeing about definition, and she's now calling him a racist.
So listen, again, I don't think it's by accident that he is doing it. I think it's something that really has led to, for instance, Nick Fuentes being a headliner at a college Republican convention. Nick Fuentes dining with Donald Trump. This kind of mainstreaming of white nationalism ideology is something that I think we see increasingly among conservatives, among the alt-right, and I think that's what he's up to, even as he walks it back.
It's all a conspiracy. These people are so incredibly stupid that you cannot even take this seriously. This is so stupid and embarrassing. It is unbelievable, but it's happening.
It's almost too late because he's been at this kind of mainstreaming and watering down this term for many, many months.
Anyone going to push back? Anyone? Frowny face guy, Dylan Mulvaney? What do you think?
Well, and then, Caitlin, take a listen to what Senator Tuberville said last October at a rally about Democrats.
Some people say, well, they're soft on crime. No, they're not soft on crime. They're pro-crime. They want crime. They want crime because they want to take over what you got. They want to control what you have. They want reparation because they think the people that do the crime are owed that. Bullshit. They are not owed that.
So, just to be pretty clear here, Senator Tuberville, in addition to falsely saying that Democrats want crime, that's a quote, they want crime.
What's the lie? Other than you just saying that's a lie. All over this country, today in California, they had a chance to make human trafficking a felony, and they passed. They passed, meaning they did not do it. We've seen weak policies by Democrats forever on crime. What are we talking about here? So you're going to say that Tommy Tuberville is mainstreaming white supremacy with no evidence, call him a racist with no evidence, and then you're going to say, oh, crime. Whoever said Democrats were weak on crime? Jake Tapper is an absolute fool.
They want reparations. That is the discussion about whether descendants of slaves should be paid reparations. They want reparations because they think the people that do the crime are owed that. That is, Caitlin, the most abjectly racist statement I have heard from a U.S. senator in my life.
That is the most objectively racist thing you've ever heard a senator say? Boy, do I have something to show Jake Tapper. Let's talk a little bit about some United States senators. How about this one? How about Joe Biden speaking at Robert Byrd's funeral? Can we talk about that?
As also noted, Robert C. Byrd was a parliamentary library, a keeper of the institution of the Senate, and he was the institution itself. But to me, and many people here today, like guys I see, Bill Bradley and Jim Sasser, who've long left the Senate for greener pastures, and I hope better remuneration. We used to kid about that too, but for a lot of us, he was a friend.
I don't have any racist friends. Joe Biden can't say the same thing. But, okay, let's just be honest. That's not necessarily a racist statement. And it's surely not the most racist statement ever said by a member of the United States Senate. Here's Joe Biden again. Let's see if he can get there with this.
If you have a problem figuring out whether you're for me or Trump, and you ain't black.
I mean, that's just Joe Biden being stupid, right? So we shouldn't really worry about that. I mean, if we're truly going to get upset every time Joe Biden is stupid, we're going to be very busy here today, right? Right? Well, what about Joe Biden in his own words, as someone put together on TikTok? Maybe this will give us a little bit more to look at.
Unlike the African-American community, with notable exceptions, the Latino community is an incredibly diverse community. If you have a problem figuring out whether you're for me or Trump, and you ain't black. Poor kids are just as bright and just as talented as white kids.
My Democratic colleagues don't like me saying this. I think the two-party system is good for the South and good for the Negro, good for the black. And other than the fact that they still call me boy, I think they've changed their mind.
They're gonna put you all back in chains.
The first sort of mainstream African American who was articulate and bright and clean and nice-looking guy. I mean, that's a storybook, man.
It was hurtful to hear you.
Interesting. Very interesting. Very interesting. They threw a little bit of Kamala Harris in there at the end as well, which I think is pretty fitting. I'll just be honest with you, especially considering what I'm going to share with you last. Since, Jake Tapper's never heard anything so racist been said by a United States senator, since, Jake Tapper is just beside himself with this. Here's a clip of a lot of Joe Biden stuff, and it's pretty damn good.
In the lead up to the 2008 election, Biden was also in the spotlight for a number of comments, including referring to Barack Obama as articulate and clean, and associating Indian immigrants with Dunkin' Donuts and 7-Eleven chains.
Do these gaffes or misunderstandings, or however you would characterize them, indicate you're uncomfortable talking about race, or are people just being too sensitive?
I think that I have my whole career. I got involved in public policy. I got involved in politics because of the civil rights movement.
Biden also has an unreliable history surrounding his own involvement in the civil rights struggle. He has at times claimed to have been deeply involved, at other times not that active, and in the lead up to the 2020 election once again claimed to have been heavily involved. He was also caught out claiming to have been arrested trying to visit Nelson Mandela.
This day, 30 years ago, Nelson Mandela walked out of prison and entered into discussions about apartheid. I had the great honor of meeting him. I had the great honor of being arrested with our UN ambassador on the streets of Soweto trying to get to see him on Robbins Island.
You now say you weren't arrested and it didn't happen in Soweto. You were at the airport in Johannesburg and you were stopped from going through the door for blacks. I guess the question is, were you confused or were you just trying to embellish a story?
Offered the chance to run with Biden in 2020, Kamala Harris's once scathing criticisms about race faded away, and the two have worked closely since winning the election.
I believe you that you're fully supportive of him. How does that transition happen? How do you go from being such a passionate opponent on such bedrock principles for you, and now you guys seem to be pals?
It was a debate.
Not everybody landed punches like you did, though.
It was a debate.
So you don't mean it?
It was a debate. That the whole reason, literally, it was a debate. It was called a debate.
I understand.
Traveled to the debate.
I love that Stephen Colbert knows she's an idiot and refuses to not play along. He's going to play along anyway, just so dumb.
There were journalists there covering the debate where there would be a debate of differences of opinion and issues. Okay. I am 1,000% supportive of Joe Biden, and I will, again, do everything I can to make sure he is elected.
The Democrats may be keen to forget Biden's past, but should everyone else have to as well?
It's a good question. It's a good video. It's right there on YouTube. I will tell you this. It's interesting to watch these things take place. Because that last part and the first part go very well together. Jake Tapper is perfectly fine to say, hey, this is my guy. I'm behind him, and I'm going to be okay with everything he has to say about Joe Biden. But if he opposes you on anything, they will drag up everything you've ever said and try to make it out into a continuous racist statement. They're more than happy to do that to Tommy Tuberville. They are not willing to do that to Joe Biden. And we all know why. Because, damn, Democrats got it good.